Thousands of homeless people across Europe are being offered less help now that COVID-19 has reduced a number of key services.
Slowly, life is returning to something like normal in the place that coronavirus first took hold. Restrictions are still in place in China's Wuhan city region, but being eased as a number of new infections dropped sharply. In the last few days here, all new cases have come from outside. The WHO says Wuhan suggests there is hope, but the threat has to be taken seriously.
Take one look at what's happening in some health systems around the world. Look at the intensive care units completely overwhelmed, the doctors and nurses utterly exhausted. This is not normal. This isn't just a bad flu season.
China has been widely praised for its response and handling of the outbreak, but there are fears that some countries are still not taking coronavirus as seriously as they should. Brazil's president has repeatedly downplayed it, describing it as hysteria and criticising measures aimed at curbing it. After the stabbing during the presidential campaign in 2018, it's not a little flu that's going to bring me down. If a doctor recommends I take another test, I will, but until then, I'll behave like any of you here today. But Rio's iconic Ipanema beach is less crowded than usual, perhaps because the number of coronavirus cases in Brazil passed 900 on Friday. Iran has freed French researcher Roland Marchal from jail as part of a prisoner swap. He and his partner Fariba Adelkar were detained last year, accused of plotting against Iran's national security. The French government has consistently called for their release and is now urging Tehran to free Adelkar immediately. Iranian Jalal Rohlanejad was released by France on Friday. The engineer had been in prison for over a year, accused of circumventing American sanctions against Iran. In recent months, Iran has carried out prisoner exchanges with the US, Australia and Germany. Country music legend Kenny Rogers has died at the age of 81. One of the Americans' most famous songs was his duet with Dolly Parton, Islands in the Stream. In a career spanning over 50 years, Rogers won 3 Grammy Awards. The gravel-voiced star's most successful songs included The Gambler, Lucille and The Coward of the County. His family said the singer passed away peacefully from natural causes.
The number of deaths is continuing to rise in Italy. Official figures show 793 have died of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, another daily record. In total, over 4,800 have now died across the country. More than 53,500 have been diagnosed with the virus nationally, up more than 6,500 since Friday. The scale of loss is reflected in the obituary columns of regional newspapers. According to the mayor's office, 400 people died in Bergamo and neighbouring towns last week, 4 times the number who died the same week the previous year, yet only 91 of them had tested positive for the virus. A poster on the side of Bergamo's hospital shows a doctor hugging Italy. The writing says, "Thanks to all of you." Spain's recorded almost 5,000 new coronavirus infections in 24 hours as it climbed into 3rd place globally behind China and Italy. Health authorities there said on Saturday that virus infections have reached nearly 25,000 from under 20,000 on Friday. In Mulhouse in eastern France, a new field hospital is being constructed because the emergency department of the hospital there is already overwhelmed. Patients have also been transferred by helicopter to other civilian hospitals in the northeast region. There are over 10,000 confirmed cases in the country. In Bavaria, Germany's largest state, the authorities have imposed what they've described as fundamental restrictions on public life in the fight against the virus. People are now only allowed to leave their homes for necessities such as going to work, medical appointments and buying groceries or medicine. The measures are for an initial 2-week period.
While Spaniards lock themselves in their homes during the COVID-19 outbreak, the country's homeless population are finding it increasingly difficult to find places to take shelter. Day centers and soup kitchens now run reduced services. Restaurants closed, bars closed, everything Normally, you always find a friend somewhere that gives you some margin, but there's no margin left. Everything is closed. There's no margin. Accessing help through the regular way is more difficult now, despite homeless people being some of the most vulnerable when it comes to the coronavirus.
There's like 1,200 people on the streets in Barcelona who are completely invisible. There's not enough resources. There's not enough housing. But for this specific case of the coronavirus, obviously the risk of being contagious, and also where could they be? Where could they be confined? No?
In Italy, the civil protection is taking the extra step to hand out food to the homeless in Rome, stepping in when less people are around to help. And some Catholic and civil associations have continued to provide services like soup kitchens. Volunteers say the outbreak is a serious problem for the homeless. The situation has worsened. Let's also mention the fact that a city so empty for those who have nowhere to go, to sleep and live, it's scary. It's even scarier. Health experts have warned that the government has no idea how many people really have the disease, and that actual cases could be much higher than current figures.
In Austria, not everyone complies with the movement restrictions. That is why the police have begun to intervene more aggressively in order to limit the spread of the coronavirus. Entering public places apart from exceptions is generally forbidden.
Sitting and standing around in groups is not permitted. We request that you move. If you do not comply with this request, you'll be prosecuted.
In Vienna, officers have issued fines for more than 800 violations so far.
We, the Vienna police, have primarily been informing the population, but of course, if necessary, we've taken appropriate action. Fines of up to 3,600 euros.
Taking a walk alone or with people from the same household is allowed, but gathering in groups is not. However, the warm weather of the last few days has attracted tens of thousands of people outdoors, and the number of fines has increased rapidly. The military is now also supporting law enforcement.
There are always people who don't keep the necessary distance. When police cars drive through the Danube Canal, there's just not that 1 meter of necessary distance that they tell you to keep.
Most recently, the government extended the movement restrictions by 3 weeks. Here at the Danube Canal, police forces check every 30 minutes whether the safety distance is being maintained. Some apparently do not keep to it and get warnings or high fines, but the majority of the Austrian population follows the measures and approves of the government's actions. Johannes Bleschberger, Euronews, Vienna.
Albania's government has deployed the army to enforce a strict 40-hour curfew starting on Saturday to fight the coronavirus's spread after people flouted previous regulations. About 120,000 Albanians came back from Italy, the world's worst-hit country, soon before Albania severed air and sea links across the Adriatic Sea 12 days ago. In Georgia, where President Salome Zurabishvili declared a state of emergency over a week ago, there are 48 confirmed cases of COVID-19. One patient's since recovered. Nearly 2,000 people are in quarantine and over 250 in hospital under observation. All types of activity involving more than 10 people are prohibited. Polish Interior Minister and Prosecutor General Zbigniew Ziobro has announced that contraband alcohol intercepted by the authorities in the country will be used as disinfectant. Hospitals in the country have said this is a big help in the current